No, I had an interesting experience where a congressman invited me to a party at his house, and he's actually one of the very best congressmen. I won't use his name. And he's done some very brave things, going actually behind into combat areas to get his own intelligence, etc. And at this party, someone asked him a question. Actually, I forgot what the topic was, but it's one of the big issues of our time. And he told this guy that, he totally agreed with him and whatever. And then about 5 minutes later, I saw someone else walk up to him. I was within ear range and ask him about the same subject, but this person was on the opposite side. And I go, this is going to be interesting how he handles this. Well, how he handled it was he agreed with this guy just as much as he agreed with the other guy, even though they totally disagreed with each other. And this is one of the best congressmen that we have that did this. So it's unfortunately because of the media that it's hard for politicians to be honest. So both of them, they're still responsible for this, but if we had a media that rewarded people for being honest, it would really help.
And this kind of reminds me, the Soviet Union. It's been one of the, it was told to us that it was one of the greatest threats a while back. And so you think perhaps that this news media is really
that's what I got in the news media.
And
yes.
What about Hitler and the...
Well, yeah, they all controlled their news media because they realized how important it is. And they I think Hitler made the statement, if you tell a lie enough times, people will believe it as a truth. Well, our news media does. Global warming is a good thing. People of very good will, they've only heard one side of the story. They haven't seen the data themselves. They're not weather experts themselves. So it's very understandable how they would believe this. They go, well, why these people lie to us? Well, it's because they want the government to have more power over you is why they would lie to you about global warming. So, and then some of the greatest tragedies of the 20th century were caused not directly but indirectly by our news media. You think of any really huge thing that happened in the 20th century, the Nazi concentration camps, they were never reported. Not until not one life could be saved. It was only after they were all shut down that our news media, a few weeks later, finally reported them. The facts are rather obvious on that. And another inherent problem we have with our news media is they could have said, we're not 100% sure, but we're 95% sure that Hitler's murdering millions of people, but they never reported that. Then there's other cases where they actually aided in murder. And a case of this would be in the 1930s with the New York Times. They had, their top reporter was Durante, and he went to the Ukraine when people were escaping and saying, hey, there's a genocide going on, Stalin's murdering millions of people, and he saw it firsthand. He's actually a British citizen, so he actually reported to his own government saying that, yes, they are murdering people by the millions. And then he went back to the New York Times and wrote stories saying this is all a bunch of lies. Everyone's happy and well-fed in the Ukraine. And 11 million people were killed in about a 5-year period there, so actually worse than the Nazi Holocaust. And he just flat out lied to the American people to aid Stalin in this genocide. And he got a Pulitzer Prize for it. He didn't get fired. He got a Pulitzer Prize for doing this. And that Pulitzer Prize still hangs on the wall of the New York Times to this day.
Wow. And tell us something about an example about drug enforcement too, or drugs and what effects it had on children.
I can understand why you bring up that subject because it's probably our biggest social problem and law enforcement problem. Our borders are dangerous because of it. We have an extra 1 million people in the prisons because of it, and that their children get hurt. I mean, it's a huge problem. They created that problem to a large extent. I can remember in the 1960s where the media, both the news media and the entertainment media, pushed drugs to children, and there wasn't any available. And it took a while, but the infrastructure was developed. And billions and billions of dollars been made by the drug cartels on this, and then this leads to corruption. It's led into corruption in Colombia, in Mexico, and to an extent in the United States. Bill Clinton is actually an example of this because Arkansas was a major entry point for the cocaine cartels. And his brother, Roger Clinton, was a major cocaine dealer, and one of his biggest campaign contributors, Dan Lassiter, was also a major cocaine distributor. They both went to prison over this, and one of his favorite police guard, L.D. Brown, has talked about this.
Here are the facts. Clinton is criminally connected with the brutal Dixie Mafia. His brother is a convicted drug dealer and organized crime figure, shown here snorting cocaine during a drug deal.
This is Roger. This is Buddy in Arkansas. You got any coke? Yeah, you got plenty of coke.
And talking about his police protection via Brother Bill.
These uniformed people help me stay one step ahead of the game.
In fact, in another police audio tape, Roger said, "Gotta get some for my brother. He has a nose like a vacuum cleaner." Clinton's inside circle includes top Clinton contributor and friend Dan Lassiter, who used cocaine to seduce high school girls into sex.
You gave drugs to people you were entertaining, right?
Right.
Well, even underage people you were entertaining, right?
Right. The biggest cocaine trafficker of all time, Barry Seal, was protected by Clinton.
My top load paid me $1.5 million for a single trip.
Seal was gunned down just before testifying about his Clinton-connected Reno, Arkansas drug operations.
While awaiting his appearance before the Arkansas grand jury, Seal was suddenly gunned down. Several Colombian hitmen were later charged and convicted of the assassination.
Clinton's favorite police bodyguard, L.D. Brown, puts it all together here, telling about how Bill Clinton tried to make him part of the Barry Seal cocaine operation.
L.D. Brown, governor's security and traveling aide, socialized closely with the governor from January of '83 to July '85. Brown says that Clinton helped him draft an essay for the agency.
I kept some of the things that I had sent into the agency. I kept that essay that Marxism in Central America, I mean, you know, I knew what that was, but it wasn't exactly my topic du jour to get on the CIA. He's the one that said that's what they want to hear. And, you know, I played along and we wrote it.
American Investigator took Brown's essay and other Clinton samples to Sheila Lowe, a board-certified handwriting examiner for the California Superior Courts. She determined that there is a strong degree of probability that the handwritten notes were written by Bill Clinton. With Clinton's recommendation, Brown was cleared by an operative in Texas. Brown received a call from Barry Seal, inviting him to Mena Airport. Two identical missions followed. With Brown on board, Seal's plane left Mena, dropped crates somewhere in Central America, loaded duffel bags in Honduras, and returned to Mena.
The second time we come back from where Seal said we were going, which he said was Honduras, he breaks open a bag and pulls out what to me, having worked in narcotics, was a kilo of cocaine. I mean, he never opened it, but had like a number sign and 2 on it, which I'd seen packaged before. And then, you know, I just, because we supposedly were flying guns, is what he had told me. I didn't know what was coming back on return trips.
Brown confronted Clinton outside of the governor's mansion.
He was about to ask me, you know, you having fun again? I know he was, and that's when I just lost it, you know, and I just said, you know, what, they're bringing back, and I'm cursing, you know, and, you know, what on those blank airplanes. And he said, well, what do you mean? I said, they're bringing back coke. And he says, oh, no, wait a minute. And he throws his hands up and said, that's Lassiter's deal. And, you know, throughout this whole thing, Lassiter's name never brought up about anything. And I know Lassiter, you know, seen him at the mansion, been, you know, to his house and sat in his racing box at the horse races and all that. And I knew that, you know, that the only time I'd ever seen the governor around any cocaine was at Dan Lassiter's house, when it was on the table when I got him out of there. So just like a, you know, big light goes off in my head. Cocaine, the governor, you know, when he says Lassiter, I'm thinking, good, oh no, you know, what's going on? When I saw the coke, I said, you know, all my DEA training, you know, I've been to the advanced schools and gotten the achievement award, and then I thought, well, okay, this thing is a drug operation. It's a sting thing. You know, I'm trying to convince myself of that all the way back to Little Rock. And up until the time I meet with Clinton, and he blows all that perception and tells me that, no, it's a straight drug deal, LD.
This relates to another problem. He's a known drug addict, just like his brother.
You just squeeze it, and a snort of cocaine and go up in there. And I watched Roger hand what I had given him to Governor Clinton, and he just kind of turned around and
Even a family doctor has admitted this. Show that.
Governor Bill Clinton was taken into the hospital, I believe it was the medical center, on at least 1 or 2 occasions for cocaine abuse and overdose.
Admitted he knew about it. He knew that Laster was running it. So, basically, I'm part of this.